I'm Loren Gailey with the New Earth One Network News Update. We're talking about timelines and this incredible summer of being able to anchor in the most beautiful timeline, most positive timeline of all. Sandra Walter says that there has been a timeline split, and that to navigate away from the old 3D reality of the old timeline that is leaving, we need to stay centered in the heart and make choices from a higher level of consciousness. Enjoy this extended quantum conversation with Sandra Walter, who talks about the timeline split and the August eclipse. We are in another powerful gateway of this year, 2017, and we can align with these cosmic stargates, which absolutely affect, in a positive way, our crystalline DNA. My guest today shares more on these powerful gateways than in this dimensional shift that we are currently experiencing. And she reminds us how important it is not to be distracted from this focus, our inner light, our embodiment of light through the heart center. Ascension Wayshower Sandra Walter has been working with the energies of Solaris, and she's also a gatekeeper. She has been calling for light workers to meditate on Sundays for the past year, and this has created a beautiful field of unity, love, peace, and harmony. It's the human heart grid now anchored on our planet. Sandra joins us for another awesome quantum conversation to talk about cosmic stargates, the timeline split, and the August eclipse. Sandra, welcome back to Quantum Conversations. Thanks for being here.
Blessings, dear sister. It's always an honor to join you and your tribe. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's pretty interesting what's going on. There's big-time activations in our DNA. We have reports from the field of this plasma light entering into their bodies, and that's always very interesting. I know you've got your finger on the pulse of light workers experiencing these episodes in their meditations. And we've even felt this unity grid recently on a Sunday that we did something together. And it truly is exquisite. So let's start with this current gateway that we are in.
Beautiful. Well, those of you who are conversant with my material, you understand that the gateways are opportunities for us to participate and co-create with the incoming energies. And this has been going on for several years. And the interesting thing that's unfolding for 2017, whether it is an effect of unity consciousness or the internet, the December revelations that there would be a timeline split. The timeline split is now on the menu, and the associated solar activity are now presenting for more and more wayshowers. Now, gatekeepers had simultaneous visions in December of the timeline split, and then our visions in January, we had simultaneous visions of the sun exploding or bursting, and all of this is presenting now because we're nearing a cosmic threshold where timeline divisions present. Now, in your vision, they may present as dividing DNA strands like they did for me, train tracks, trees, splitting roadways, torus, loops, spirals, parallel planets, or stargates in your vision. Regardless of the archetypal representation, these visions demonstrate what is unfolding right here and right now. Now, complexity and apparent chaos increases as old timelines near their extinction as an intention or universal expression or galactic expression, solar system expression of a planet nears its extinction. And by extinction, I don't mean an abrupt end of a reality. We're talking about the birthing of something new. Now, this is very evidenced in our experience. It used to be very metaphorical. Light workers were talking about these abstract things or your visions or what you were seeing. And now it's becoming very physical. We see this physically playing out in the external realities, and we witness the divergence of realities in the external. This began last September with the timeline shift, and now it's unfolding as political changes, social changes, events, choices people are making, a division in the collective, extreme polarization, and a lot of complexity unfolding in the lower timelines. At the same time that you get a lot of ease and grace and higher experiences in the higher timeline experience. And we are consistently witnessing the agreement of reality choices. This is by personal agreement. And we're witnessing that consistent choice of preference, which reality you would like, which you prefer. And we still see the lower timelines. We're still witnessing that unfolding in the external reality. We see them, they see us. But the vibrational mismatch is becoming wider, stronger, and technically that lower reality has already left our consciousness. Now, this is an unfoldment of what has already been agreed upon. Technically, it's not physically there. So this is where you really have to vibe into, level up into the mechanisms of consciousness itself. That's why so many in the high vibe tribe are having much more expansive experiences, because the higher timelines allow for a much more expanded experience, something brand new. Now, the experience of solar plasma started presenting over the last couple of years, but it's becoming very present, very consistent for a lot of light workers. Myself in December end of November, before the drought was relieved in California, and these visions of standing on the coastline, on the Pacific coastline, in my whites, throwing fields of solar plasma up into the sky. And this is just something that in the higher realms, now we're getting more of a witnessing of what we're doing in the higher realms at the same time that we're watching these lower realities go away. That's also why the lower reality feels surreal or overdone, complete, a lot of completion messages coming into the tribe. You're done, you're done, you're done. It's because the old template drop-off in September occurred because this lower vibrational realities were leaving, and bit by bit, the lower timelines drop away from our experience. We have said it is the lower reality which drops away, and this is evidenced by this current timeline split. It's like Creator is awakening within the dream through us at a faster rate right now. This is an escalated, accelerated activity now. So it's becoming more and more apparent to more in the light tribe that the vibrational mismatch is widening. Now, high vibe tribe activities, choices, focus, explorations in the new consciousness levels opening to us, and the opening of cosmic stargates. This all increases the vibrational rate of the ascending collective, assisting in the widening of the gap between realities and timeline experiences. And this is something that we need to appreciate right now. This is, although it appears to be, well, not even appears to be, it is very esoteric and mystical and a very spiritual experience. This grand experiment of experiencing a dimensional shift through the body is very unique. And this timeline split plays out in the physical. If you can imagine, think of it as just reflections of what's happening in the higher realms of consciousness. This timeline split plays out in the physical, this unfriending and vibrational mismatch and communication issues, social interactions, behaviors, reactions to the split based on your choices and your preference of reality are playing out in the physical right now. And that activity is becoming quite heightened and quite clear to a lot of people that the polarization is reaching a breaking point, tearing apart point. Now, the high vibe tribe still sees the lower realities, but you're not attached to it. Some don't experience it at all. There's no reaction, complete detachment. You're unaffected by the lower reality unfoldments. And embodiment, the embodiment is the goal. You know, this is why the timeline shifts and splits are happening right now, because embodiment has been on the menu since a decade ago, but since the launch of 2012 and this presentation of a brand new platform for our experience, we've been working on solar cosmic Christed embodiment of the higher self, the Christ itself, the mighty I am, whatever you want to call it. This provides higher choices and wisdom and clarity and the high access to the higher vibrational timelines, the higher Gaia or the new earth. These choices detach us from the lower reality or what does not resonate with the higher timelines. So it is still a conscious choice to ascend, to allow it to alter your perception and direct the higher journey. We have a much higher trajectory available to us right now. And these are compassionate, higher choices. You're not dealing with the old imprints of being a savior or a martyr to the lower reality ever again. But you will notice there is a consistency of peace, a consistency of compassion, a consistency of the higher vibrational realities, to the point where you don't, eventually, I shouldn't say everyone, but eventually you will get to the point where you realize that the lower reality is already gone from your experience, and it is your future self stepping into the game and allowing you access to the higher reality. You're going to spend a lot more time of this linear time experience in that higher vibrational state. This is your crossing over point. You know, we're creating this possibility for our experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, there's a lot to take in there. And the important thing that you said there is that really this is compassionate, higher choices and wisdom that will detach us from these lower realities. And we really are creating the new. And Sandra, you've always said to not be distracted by anything, right? Anything that takes us out of this heart zone, because it really is this portal to a greater connection with the cosmos. And maybe now is a good time to talk about the DNA, because there's a lot that can go on here. This light is actually activating more DNA within us. Can you share about how we can actively work with that or invoke it?
Sure, absolutely. You know, DNA is our key to shifting realities, to shifting timelines. And it's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, my first vision as I came out of dream state was all of this dead two-strand DNA leaving, just leaving the planet. And whether it was mine or everybody's, it was just like this collective thing happening where the old DNA is no longer applicable. So it's, and I meditate on these things when I see this. I don't make assumptions. I let the higher realm show me, higher self show me what this is. And it was demonstrating that the new crystalline DNA that we've been working on for years to activate within our, activating the crystalline structures within us so that the highest quality DNA could be almost bilocated into the cells. You're calling it into you. It's yours. You're not, picking DNA from etheric apple trees. This is something that is yours. You put it away for safekeeping. Higher self was holding on to that crystalline template this whole time. Now we're using all of these activated templates within Gaia, the activated New Earth grid systems, these higher timelines that are presenting, cosmic stargates are opening, and it's allowing for a vibrational match to occur, which allows us to start embodying this higher DNA, this crystalline DNA, which supports not just the embodiment of higher states of consciousness or higher vibratory levels within the cells, but it also allows us to access the stargates, the gateways to the primary ascension Christed timelines. And while it is a vibrational match within the body vehicle, within the consciousness in someone's fields that allows that to happen, it can be very complementary during these gateways. You know, when you receive the postings, the articles that say, hey, June is a big DNA month. It means that the frequencies are available to open up not just the gateways within you, but to call into yourself that crystalline DNA, which is yours. And if it is your conscious choice to either embody Christ consciousness or the divine human crystalline DNA, personally I work with DNA activation every day in many ways, since it is so vulnerable to environmental factors, frequency levels, thoughts, emotional levels, heart center activation, and your own biolandscape. Crystalline DNA is a key to shifting dimensional density levels, as it creates this bridge between realities. That's why we're seeing the timeline split as dividing DNA. It's like there's your 2-strand DNA over there, and here's your crystalline 12, 13, 14, 144, 244 strand DNA over here. You know, that is, even back in, 2011, I was seeing the way to get through these gateways was climbing on a ladder of DNA, and it was all gold and crystalline. So this is something that is telling us that this is the bridge between these density levels, these realities, these expressions of form, galaxies. It's truly unique and divine. Now, DNA can be very complicated, so you keep your invocations simple. You center yourself, align your fields and your ascension column for the maximum effect, and then you call it into yourself. It's great to stand outside in the sun and barefoot, connected to Gaia's new earth grids and the emerging solar grids or emerging spiritual sun within her. That is that higher dimensional version of her. You unify with your higher expressions and you call upon your divine DNA. And again, this is an expression of consciousness. So if we can get away from thinking of it as a physical thing and realize that, yes, it was a physical thing in the representation in the lower reality. That was just the way it looked in density. Now, as we level up, we're getting into seeing, feeling, experiencing divine DNA as this very alive thing. So some of it will be existing internally because we've been expanding our consciousness and engaging with the ascension path, the ascension process. But some of it can be recalled into your cells and into your fields because it kind of floats around your entire ascension column, building strand around strand around strand. It'll look like this big multi-dimensional spiral rather than thinking of it as one tiny little microscopic thing inside of a cell. You know, that's what it looked like in density. Now that we're leveling up, we're like, okay, big formless creator being is now going to call in this geometry that is divine DNA. And it's beautiful. Some may be brand new to your current expression, but it's according to your path and your goals, again, your personal perspective and choices on what reality you would like to experience. You can call that in during this time. Now, I've just posted a free DNA invocation to assist everyone, and of course you can change the language to resonate with where you are at in your journey, but I kept it very simple so that people could take it and run with it. You know, we're all learning how to be these great creator beings. This is the whole point of our ascension, is to rediscover that creator state of consciousness and express it as a unique facet of creator. So there's, you know, we're getting away from I didn't say the words in the right order, or what about this, or what about that. Let the mind level go and experience DNA activation, as I said earlier, in many ways. I go to ecstatic dance every week, and I treat it like a DNA activation and light work. And it looks like I'm dancing. In this reality, it looks like I'm dancing like no one's looking. But in the higher reality, I am shifting worlds. I am creating new DNA. I am opening up gateways of pure consciousness. It's beautiful. And I could see other people around me who are doing the same thing because they hold that intention. You're consistently holding that intention in your fields as you level up through the ascension process. Does that make sense?
Yes, very important there. We're learning everything about the intention with sound healing and everything. And so as you were describing this divine DNA that's very alive, and you've even experienced it as a multidimensional spiral, what does it feel like? I mean, you had just said that it's your intention, and then the imagination takes it over from there, right? But what can some who begin to work with their own DNA activation look for? What are some of the signs or experiences that you've heard others have?
Well, DNA, a pure and true DNA activation will expand your consciousness, and it's typically going to have an effect on the physical, which is why even as this timeline split is in progress, there's a lot of light workers who are having difficulties with the body or feeling exhausted. It's a very high frequency of light that is delivering these. It's not just the frequency any longer. It's geometries. It's DNA encodements. It's things rising up out of Gaia. We're being bombarded with all of these activations at a very fast rate. And we create these new possibilities. It's embracing these new possibilities via our experiences in these higher states of consciousness. The new earth vibration, it opens the collective consciousness to this new experience. And when your intention is consistent, let us show humanity what is possible, higher self, show me what is possible, show me what is our highest trajectory. And when you consistently work with that, it's just like the unity meditations. It builds a field. It builds spiritual strength. And this is the same with DNA. It's your intention. Okay, DNA, light up. And when you're consistently talking to DNA as a living beingness, as a living thing, and not something that you look at under a microscope, when you speak to it as part of your higher self, it's already existing in your higher consciousness. So you're saying, okay, let me level up into this, pull me up into that experience, open the gateways of my heart so I can have that experience. It's a very heart-opening, heart-activating experience. You will notice vibrational mismatch intensifies. It's very common right now because of the timeline split to not resonate with things that you used to do or jobs or people. We've been talking about that for decades. However, right now it's very heightened. It's a very heightened experience. And as you move into recalling and activating your own DNA or Christed strand of DNA, very powerful stuff. So it depends on what you can hold in your consciousness. If you give yourself, if you call back to yourself the DNA, you don't just, it's like any part of the process, you don't just say the words and get on with your lower life. It's not like that. You've got to spend time with it. You've got to meditate on it. Let it happen. Feel into it. How is this changing my energy fields? Do I feel it? Do I feel it? Am I grounding it into my current consciousness in the most creative way possible? Are you dancing your DNA? Are you painting your DNA? Are you toning? Are you meditating? Meditation is such a huge part of what we're doing. We're meditating day and night, just consistently connecting with that. We call it meditation. That was the word for it. It actually becomes your complete state of consciousness where you're just tapped in, tuned in all the time. And even though the vibrational weirdness around us seems, it's just apparent, this apparent mismatch. But use the weirdness to accelerate your journey. Embrace this unknown, the strange. It has to feel good to be different, to create a different experience. So let it, let the light show you, as always. Change your beliefs or your opinions or your reactions to align with the choice of peace, DNA activation, harmony, expansiveness, creativity, beauty, source-aligned, higher experience. And you'll notice that it will change you. It will change your consciousness. It changes your behavior. All of a sudden, you're not going to want to do the same things. It's very much a consistent part of the ascension process. It's just that during this particular year on the collective timeline, this particular passage of space that we're going through, this particular activation of cosmic stargates, which are interstellar, intergalactic, interuniversal flows of light and frequency and harmonics that are causing, through collective agreement, the timeline division, that it in itself, is having an effect on the lower consciousness. So it's something that, goodness, it's really difficult to put into linear words, because the experience of it is very expansive. Most light workers have embraced simplicity along the way, eliminating distractions and other things from the ascension process. And the need for this becomes evident. We're here to serve. We're here to have the experience and create brand new realities, not just let the light have its way with you, but using it. Creating the new can be a very tall order in density, especially during a timeline split. So the simplification creates the stability and the balance for you to not only experience higher states of consciousness with your personal life stream, but also allowing and participating in the new earth to emerge and show herself. And this embodiment stage requires this consistent conscious alignment. It's a formless realm that we're dealing with. And the purpose of this type of ascension on Gaia has universal repercussions, which many of you are experiencing, is emerging with this formless realm of pure light and these lengthy meditations that we've been going through. It's because these Stargate pathways have allowed access to our unified consciousness at a very high level of light. And as we approach this collective trigger point, which divides experiences, these higher formless realms where we already exist are becoming very apparent. We just have greater and greater access to higher and higher realms beyond the realm of form. And it's beautiful that the high vibe tribe is experiencing that, because they're, by quantum mechanics, they're pulling up so many more people into the higher timeline experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Again, as we are watching in this external world, so much going on, you've said this before, it is so important not to watch it crumble and not to get caught up in it, and to constantly be anchoring in the heart and centering in the heart and connecting to this field of consciousness through the heart center that even the Sunday meditations have helped create. So this timeline split, there are some questions coming in, and I think that you've answered it there, but if you could speak a little bit more definitively to it, because, as on one hand, we don't want to watch the old crumble, and we know that we have to bring forth the new. So it really is staying focused in the heart, in this light, coming in, reaching for the higher consciousness, reaching for higher choices in our life for peace, love, harmony. Yet you're going to be surprised at this, Sandra. Another a person in the Q&A has said, what about the chemtrails, right? So just speak. I mean,
they don't exist. Honestly,
well, we
they
can
don't
use our power.
exist.
Good. I mean, well, okay. So let's say this. You know, I mean, we can sit up there and we can say, "Look at that," but that could be a belief system. So why not hold our hand up and call on the great sylphs to come, or just being pure,
you don't even
unconditional love?
You don't even have to. You don't even have to do that. Here's the thing about the higher consciousness perspective. You're going to start seeing. I mean, the lower realities become absolutely peripheral.
And those are the lower realities. That's part of the timeline split, right? This is
what you see when you open your eyes and you look around and you see like some kind of physical manifestation of the collective consciousness. That's a lower reality. Now, the tertiary timelines dropped away during March and April. That's why everyone felt so weird. You had connections to that. They were dropping off. You know, it is what it is. However, it also allowed us to go into this new state of consciousness where, and this has been apparent to ascetics and gurus for eons. However, it's becoming very predominant in the light tribe and, you know, those of us who are not in a cave meditating, just directing our consciousness into that zone 24/7. You know, we have had service and things to do here, but now that those lower timelines have dropped away and now the shadow of that is dropping away, you're going to start to see, if you raise your vibration, everything as a reflection of what is happening through these multiple realities, and you're not going to be interested in that lower vibrational nonsense anymore. It's just not there. It's just you see through the veil, and that is all veil, all of that stuff. It's you have to see it as it's not a physical thing. You know, everyone's like, look at that. It's like you're agreeing that is physical in your reality. You know, it doesn't make it less real for a whole bunch of people on the planet. However, it is there as a manifestation of what is needed to be revealed. That's the only purpose for that. Everyone's like, you know, it's going to make it, it's going to do this. I can't even talk about that because it really does not exist in my reality. Okay. And when you step into the Christed embodiment, everything is fine. You know, everything is absolutely fine. That reality is playing out chemtrails. The higher reality is playing out something else. And as I said earlier, you're seeing this evidence. It becomes very physical of the timeline split is becoming very physical, where one person is saying, look at chemtrails, and another person is saying, I see a crystalline sky and like tigers walking around playing in lagoons, and the flowers are singing and the trees are glowing, and you know, it's a very different experience. And yes, I'm still able to perceive that lower reality because, you know, collective consciousness is still going, look, 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 it's there, it's there. You're constantly agreeing that, yes, that exists. But the lower timeline realities, you know, the split happens between the primary timeline and the secondary timelines. You know, there's multiple. But you can see it getting, you can see you're witnessing the division as we go through this. And what I mentioned earlier about the savior or the martyr dynamics just not being part of your reality any longer, there's no response. Yeah, I'm talking about responsible creation. I am responsible for creating and participating in a higher level of consciousness and higher realities, and the creation of that and the opening of the gateways to launch people, to allow people, you know, open the doors. I can't pull people through, but I can open the doors and say, look at what else is available, you know, until my consciousness is completely dissolved out of this reality, and just the lower reality just drops out of my awareness completely. And I personally am witnessing that throughout the years, but now that this timeline amplification thing is going on, it is so apparent that the vibrational mismatch between the level of consciousness that is so worried about chemtrails but does nothing about it versus someone who is going, you know what, I'm going to go over here and create a reality where that doesn't even exist, because I know that I am creator incarnate and I am merging with my higher self, and my higher self has told me, and these divine teams that we've all been tapping into, well, a lot of us have been tapping into, creator, pure source consciousness is like, I got a new agenda, I got something new happening on, this whole universe is going to zip out of the reality, and we're just going to raise this whole thing into a brand new creation because I'm done. That is why in the lower realities, in the denser realities, you experience it as this physical intuition of, I think we're done. I think I'm complete. Or even your higher self going, Sandra, you're complete. You know, that was 3 years ago. You're complete. I'm like, okay, so now what? It's like, oh, just, play out and more is going to present. So help until you need to completely focus on something else, and then, eventually you're going to have to spend all of your time focused completely on a higher reality, because you are a gatekeeper and you're responsible for making sure those passageways are open for people to walk through if they so choose. So that is what is unfolding right now.
Okay, well, that just really says it all. Create this reality. And that's why we're hearing from all spiritual teachers how important it is to hold our vision of New Earth. And so, we're even seeing in the external world with our president doing some crazy things, but we can flip that and not be distracted. Again, it comes back to distraction. We've even seen some interesting things in our spiritual crowd. Many are, interested in the secret space program, but even that is a distraction because it's keeping us from this work and this focus that we need to create in these new realities, to reach into the formless realm, or to connect with that and bring it into this new earth. So really, thank you for clarifying that, and it really does show us the attention that we must hold on creating these new realities and being responsible for our creator beingness. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, may I just interject, because when you say visualizing New Earth, that's basic to
or creating it.
allowing access to realizing that you are creating that. The New Earth is this creation that our future selves have already set into motion, but as we awaken and merge, we're bridging the worlds, and then you just go full force into it. And again, this is all of this stuff, even the timeline split and the shift into New Earth, even the New Earth herself and all the different parallel Earths and parallel realities and everything. From this higher state of consciousness, it's important to realize that these are things which have already unfolded in higher density, higher dimensional, higher planes, higher realms of light, and we're just experiencing this trickle-down effect because we are dealing with time-space dynamics. It's just the experience. If everyone can just get over the fact that or the idea that it feels so real, and oh my gosh, look at that and everything. You step away from that and realize what is available. This is basic to a spiritual experience in a body, but it's quite remarkable, the shift, the split that's happening right now, especially since last September, and then another jump in December, and this latest timeline drop off of a lot of lower realities and synthetic timelines and all that stuff. The higher vibrational consciousness is starting to experience these beautiful creator realms that are so pure, and when you spend your linear time or you vibe with that, the lower it's the quantum effect of that, of the lower vibration just dropping off the radar completely. You talk about presence, and like I literally have to have to dim down to grok that there's still a government and a political system. And this is, and a lot of this is because I'm starting to work with the stuff that's coming in for the eclipse, which is, this path of the solar eclipse goes right across the United States. So it's going to rewrite and activate a lot of, Great White Brotherhood type stuff that's been, and Atlantean things, and a lot of things that have been encoded for this particular point on the collective timelines. But it's when you start working with that, you're starting to become your future self and your highest self, and the lower reality just is nonsensical. It's like, yeah, whatever, go play with that as long as you want. But all we can do is say, look, our realities are going to be divided in a very physical way, and whether it takes a year of your linear time or a couple of years of your linear time or a couple of months of linear time, it's happening. Everyone's seeing it. This is interesting because when I started talking about this back in December, and it was overwhelming, to see that, and I'm like, what does this mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, the timeline split, like division of realities was kind of put on the back burner for a while we were all going through these upgrades and working on the timelines and everything. Then all of a sudden it was like, bam, by the way, this is on the menu. And it's something that's happening right now. And a friend wrote me that, and this is kind of interesting because I don't follow what other people are talking about just to keep myself clear, but people write and send articles anyway. And they're like, hey, somebody else is saying the same thing. I'm like, okay, great, blessings, But this is kind of interesting that a friend wrote that Bashar, I don't know, Bashar is channeled as a hybrid channeled by Daryl Anka, if you're not familiar with him. And I haven't watched him in a long time, but he used to be a lot of fun. But a friend wrote that Bashar mentioned the splitting of realities in an April transmission event that they had, which is interesting since that April is when this accelerated timeline split began to occur. Now, I have no opinion on Bashar other than appreciating his agreement that Mount Shasta operates like a crown chakra rather than a root. But it's interesting to see that more and more wayshowers are tapping into this. And when I open by saying, either that's an effect of unity consciousness or just the internet, people seeing the articles and going, oh yeah, me too, or then it just imprints their consciousness and suddenly they're seeing it at the same time. That's part of being part of the higher vibration, is embracing your creator state of consciousness. And when you hold that high vibration, the fields, the unity field starts to wake up, and all of a sudden, literally the gateways of people's consciousness are starting to pop open, and they're like, oh, I saw that too, or they're realizing what that intel that presented for them maybe a couple months ago or a while ago meant, but it's really interesting to see that this is part of the conversation, and that it is going much faster. When we talk about complexity at the end of time, as we go through this experience of getting into 0 point, which already occurred, but now the unfoldment is presenting. We're seeing this rapid fire events and political and social changes, playing out in the external physical realities across the board. But there's this other thing available that's becoming so apparent to so many wayshowers that many of us are having these conversations, offline, in private, saying, you know what, I might not be doing what I'm doing for very much longer, because this higher consciousness is going to take over and start creating something that will probably, I'm not going to say how it's going to unfold, but we have to spend more of our time with that higher reality than the lower reality in order to experience and to resonate with the higher primary timeline experience, which has been an ongoing part of the process. But many of us, myself included, I'm spending August, which is a very important month for gatekeepers, all of August and all of September outside, offline. I'm going to go full blast into that work, that service, that level of service work that isn't, connected to the lower reality experience of I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing, and it becomes distasteful after a while. It just becomes uncomfortable to engage with activities that you have been doing for a long time, or having conversations that it'll make you crazy. It makes you feel like, oh my God, I had this conversation 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 months ago, yesterday, whatever. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. That's why so much information has been uploaded into the internet, because here's everything I've got, here's everything we've got, all these classes and activations and intel, and we'll just keep sharing until you sit down at the keyboard. And there's so many times where you sit down at the keyboard, you're like, I can't even type. This doesn't make sense. And I don't want it to. That's the other thing. You don't want to lower your vibration to sit there and press your fingers onto keys in order to create language on a screen. You're like, I got to do this. I want to do this a different way. And this is, it's very evident. I'm feeling it and seeing it unfold within my own consciousness and within the consciousness of my comrades, that it's becoming so present and so overwhelming that it's, to me, that's evidence of the higher thing happening. Whatever's happening in the lower realities, it's, we've said it for a while, but it's, you have to be very not careful, because it is your free will choice to engage with that, but you have to pay attention to the signs of how do you feel when you engage with that material, anything. It's that you're voting on realities with every click on your computer, with every choice that you make, your intentions, everything all day long. And now that this is accelerating, it's put up or shut up time, where you really have to focus on your choices.
Yes. Focus on your choices. You did a great job explaining the timeline shift and how we navigate that, really by holding this high vision and by higher choices with a higher consciousness. So we've got a longer discussion that we did with you, Sandra. Oh my goodness, it was over 2 hours of talking about the timeline shift and the eclipse as well. And that is in our most recent online healing retreat. I loved that one because it was a group experience in a meditation to connect and tap into the unity grid that has been created over the past year. And this field of consciousness, of peace and love and harmony still is present in every day with me. It's just so beautiful how we can all connect back to that. I want to make that aware in our listeners who did not experience that you can check that out. It's in Sandra's special offer. And again, that it was 2.5 hours long, and half of it was this exquisite connection through the heart to that unity grid. And again, it was very wonderful. But I also loved the discussion when we spoke of the eclipse. I'd like you to share that story because it is fascinating. Personally, I've made the decision to go up to Casper, Wyoming. That is a direct passage. And Wyoming, really? Casper? But it's going to be, that's going to be where I'm headed. What I think is so interesting about this eclipse is that it is allowing us to bring in really some important timelines, but it's also related to Lemuria and Atlantis. Can you share more on this?
Yeah, because with the timeline, it's not. Let's get away from the timeline division, and now let's talk about this resolution of what has been created in this universe. You know, all of this, and you even see this in ancient Gnostic texts. You know, use that word. What's the resolution in this reality of something that happened in the higher realities? And this is exactly what is presenting now. And if everyone could just embrace that perspective of what is being experienced right now is a representation in a grounded physical way of Creator's experience in a higher realm. And as we experience this resolution of all these realities, it's the eclipse is presenting as a resolution of the Lemurian Atlantean conflicts. You know, it's all this resolution of conflict. You know, the photonic light, when we talk about entering these places in space that have a higher, that have much higher versions of sacred geometry, you know, if we can kind of get away from the platonic creation for a moment and just kind of expand into the possibilities of very divine, sacred, geometric patterns and areas of space. You know, in the physical, it looks like we're moving into it, but in a higher reality, it's all this photonic light and this universal rewrite and these geometries which then combine, and the cosmic stargates flow these energies through it. It's very elegant. It's very beautiful. And it's the lower reality is just a reflection of the photonic light, which demands order. You know, photonic light is all about harmony. You know, let there be light, let there be peace, let there be love, let there be order. And it resolves conflict at the same time that this polarity is playing out. You know, the lower realities kind of having a heyday for, you know, just kind of like the cosmic freak out of like, whoa, you know, it's not going to be available anymore, so let's just get the most bang for our buck and just go nuts at the end of time, you know, that kind of thing. But now the eclipse represents this beautiful coast to coast representation of peace and harmony and opening up all these pathways and these sacred temples and the solar grids that are emerging, combining with the new Earth crystalline grid systems, all this beautiful activation, because our, you know, that journey that I made to Arkansas last year, for those of you who are new to that, we have one of the largest, clearest, most beautiful crystalline beds in North America, runs right through Arkansas and through the center of the United States. And some ancient tribes have referred to the dove overlay. You know, the heart of the dove is right in Arkansas. It's all related to what's happening with this energy that's coming across the United States. And whether you go to the pinpoint of where you can actually see it, which would be very powerful, or whether you're just out on Gaia in the U.S., you know, it's a global operation. Doesn't matter physically where you are. But we are preparing right now for this to be this grand resolution of all of what has unfolded in all of these different timelines and realities on the secondary level of timelines, to resolve all of that. And, you know, it's an acceleration again. And it also allows access, this opening of these gateways to the primary Christed timelines of ascension. So those of us who are already, you know, stepping through those gateways and creating those pathways and resonating with those openings, we're going to make them more available for the collective consciousness. So there's no predictions on how the lower realities are going to experience that, but for the higher consciousness, it's already there. You know, it's just it's there in your field already. And it's like that we're going, you know, the primary reality attained. You know, it's going to happen. And this is something with the United States, you know, it's very divine destiny kind of thing. And even though many might associate it with the governmental activity of coming, the whole journey, the symbolic journey of coming to a new world and attempting to create something that was different from the old, and creating this new government, a new system, a new freedom, all the intentions that came across the Atlantic, came across Atlantis to the land of where Pacific and Lemuria came. It's this unification of both of those intentions now played out in this peaceful way. A little bit of Atlantis, a little bit of a Lemuria. There's no more dividing those worlds. So it's a resolution of what has occurred, not just on the land, but in a representation on the land of what is unfolding in a higher reality of Gaia, old Earth, new Earth, of a freedom of the new Earth, all of this stuff that was encoded into the land back in Atlantean times and back in Lemurian times, different approaches, but still encoded into the crystal beds, into the aquifers, into the land itself, and a lot of very powerful native tribes through here, a lot of powerful sacred sites and sacred temples and stuff that's underneath the ground. We have Mount Shasta, which is a interdimensional gateway that links both the old Earth grid system and the new Earth grid system, because the old ley line grids just kind of become, they're fading away. It's not as powerful as the new Earth grid systems now. But we're working in tandem, bridging the worlds so that we could have this freedom experience that was the original intention. The intention was not the founding fathers. They were there was higher beings that were directing that activity. And it's important for light workers, remember that this eclipse coming up requires participation and preparation and pure intention. It's a powerful activation for the timeline split and ascension, and you could probably feel it already. Remember that our June and July gateways affect the collective experience of this brilliant August rewrite, and whether or not we experience it on the nail in August or December or July next year, just remember that this gateway opens just before the 8/8 and the Lion's Gate and extends until August 25th. The new moon peak is on Monday the 21st. That's the total eclipse of the sun will be visible from the United States. And notice the metaphor, dive into this esoteric thing for a minute and realize, seeing the corona, the sun's corona is revealed. It's a time where you can look up and see the brilliant ring of light for over 2 minutes as it passes over. But this track cuts diagonally across the nation from Oregon all the way to South Carolina. And it's a representation of an activation, of a revelation, of the summation and resolution of all of this activity so that something new can be revealed. Very important to focus during these gateways of June and July, this whole year. Gateways are there for collective focus because there's energetic support from the higher realms and activity in the cosmos that allows for something new to be attained and revealed and embodied. So remember that these affect your consciousness. It's not, gateways are not a time to be hanging out online or watching what's unfolding with the government as if you needed evidence for what's unfolding with the higher consciousness. It's just not fun anymore. I guess that's what I'm attempting to express, is that lower reality it just doesn't exist. It's just whatever. It becomes just so peripheral that it's like, yeah, I see that people are still doing that, but there's something else going on. And for those of you who are bored or feel like you're stuck or whatever, you need to participate in a higher reality, because that is the merge. That is the embodiment. That is the end of one reality and the beginning of another that we're participating in. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does. Thank you. When we talk about this, though, and yeah, we are tired of that lower timeline. There's some questions here, and I'm going to narrow it down, but I'm wondering if you could include the topic of money in this, because we have one gal no longer engaged with the lower energy, but what do we do about income? Do you have anything to share on this, Sandra?
Well, fortunately, a lot of light workers have learned simplicity. You know, you cut back, and I have to say that the higher realms do provide what you need when you need it. And there's this other, oh goodness, I don't want to call it a curse. There's this waiting game, this creation of the waiting game. You know, oh my goodness, let me just have like a silent prayer that this lands properly, and let all who need to hear this message receive it with grace. You know, the waiting game has been a plague in the lightworker community, waiting on a reval, waiting for star families to land, waiting for the light to rewrite everything, waiting for disclosure, waiting for money, waiting on a solar event, waiting on earth changes, waiting for the cabal to implode, waiting for chemtrails to end, waiting for everyone to awaken. Goodness, I've heard a lot of this through the years. It had a purpose for a while. If you weren't internally motivated, it may have kept you going. You know, hopium is an addictive medicine. But please realize that waiting programs carry the same vibration as the conspiracy programs, the looping impulse to talk about information and avoid action to move forward. It cripples your higher trajectory by distracting you from the key elements of ascension to fully self-realize your source aspects and become a creator being. And that's basic to embodiment, which is foundational to this shift. Creation and manifestation occur in an active, alive, in the moment frequency of the now. So when it comes to manifesting money, if you need more, you know, if you need more stuff, you need more support, you need more of that, as always, your highest power occurs in pure moments of 0 point, that absolute now alignment, which creates the gateway of the heart that traverses dimensions. Your mind can override that natural function by transmitting future desires. You know, when this happens, I can create, or when that happens, all will be well. When I have money, all will be well. This consistently pushes that manifestation out of the hot zone of the now and into a consistent, unreachable future. It's like never happening. Again, this is basic, but we need you here now, focused with the tribe on what is unfolding now. And it's fine to dream about a brilliant future for those of you who are doing that. However, we visualize the highest outcomes that are created by us, not determined by others. I'm going to say that again. We visualize the highest outcomes that are created by the self, by the high vibe collective. They are not determined by the activities of others, much like your emotional clearing. Your life stream is not dependent on how others react to your existence. The things which you feel limit the collective are revealing your lessons, or the things which you feel are limiting yourself are revealing your lessons. At least pretend as if whatever you desire happened last week and liberate yourself from projecting it further down the timeline. But when it comes to money, I have felt throughout my journey that I left my day job back in 2010 and never went back. But I've felt several times within my journey like, oh, it might be fun to play with that and just like have consistent income and not have to worry about this, that, or the other thing, because now I feel my vibration can handle whatever the other realities are throwing it. It's like, whatever. But my choice was to create this higher experience and follow that path of embodiment and teaching or Wayshower, or whatever my highest creativity was going to present. And now that's changing too. And I know that that we are supported by the universe for doing what we're doing, but it has to be out there in order to be supported. You can't sit in a cave and anticipate that people will show up and donate. You definitely have to interact with other people, which is, I feel, the point. A lot of people can't handle it, no judgment. But if you did not set up your journey to have freedom, to have abundance, then yes, you're going to have to interact with ways to manifest abundance. And that's Emmanuel Dower territory. Go follow Emmanuel for a while if you're having trouble with manifestation, because he's all about that. How to manifest money and abundance and everything. That's something that comes when I need it. In my current state of consciousness, I just put out the material, and I wanted my entire journey. When I started this, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep putting out material and make it donation-based, and I'll just keep writing and writing, because that's my passion until it isn't my passion any longer. And I want everything that I do to be fed by gratitude from the people that I'm assisting. And so you set up these dynamics where it's like, if I provide this for you and you say thank you, you give me something that I require, and I'll give you something that you require, so that we can accelerate this journey and speed it up. And that's the way that I set up my service. And for the more grounded things that I need, shelter in the winter because it's Shasta, or my car so I can get up on the mountain or take these journeys or whatever. That's why I established an online teaching class, so that would be there to support my crystal budget. All of a sudden you're like, oh, by the way, you need like $300 worth of crystals for this journey and the gas to get there. It's like, how's that going to happen? So that's why I created the class back in the day. But the money issue, if you make it an issue, if you focus on I don't have, you create that. And especially in this 0 point dynamic, it's something that you still, I think we mentioned this, Loren, in the last call just a week and a half ago. You still have to go to the store. This body still has to go to the store, and it needs $5 so that I can get a bunch of kale. It's still there. It's just the flow is there because I'm in alignment with my higher creativity and my higher passion. So when you put out into the universe that which the universe is asking of you, your higher self is saying, look, we need to do something, because otherwise we're just going to be, homeless, camping somewhere. You don't want to take away your power completely and some kind of, that's why I mentioned the waiting game. I see that a lot. People have embraced complete poverty, and they can't do anything because they're waiting on an influx of divine funds or the realities to change or whatever. And I find that very foolish and not complementary to really embracing your ability to create within any reality, your ability to manifest things within any reality, whether it's a lower, denser reality or a higher vibrational reality. This alignment traverses several densities and dimensions. So it's learning how to create and manifest and be that creator being across all of these different expressions. I hope that makes sense.
It does, and it's very inspiring. We are creator beings, and focus that energy and create. Well, Sandra, I'm hoping you could lead us on a short experience you talked about 0 point and really being there and centered to create and manifest and become that creator being. And can you take a moment now and lead us into that field, or maybe it's the unity grid, so that we can feel what that is like?
Well, aligning with the aligning with that unified human heart grid, and especially now that it's getting so amplified, it's so beautiful. There is the simplest way to do that is to get into divine neutrality. You know, divine neutrality is something that that we explore, this state of divine forgiveness and gratitude that puts us into that unified field. So everybody, just take a breath, get into a upright but relaxed position, spine straight, hands open, and just take a breath down into the solar plexus, down into the deep recesses of the hips. Breathe. Hold it for 3 counts. Exhale all that you are not. Let everything go, all this conversation, let it go. Inhale. Breathing in pure source consciousness, letting the ascension column open. Letting the chakra systems open, letting the crown open, letting the heart open, and just effortlessly expand instantly into light body. Just take all the barriers away like a fine crystalline golden diamond mist. Just put your hands up, face them out toward the walls, push a little bit, instantly into light body. Poof, no more density, no more duality. Inhale, exhale out. Fine, light substance. Now let us just exercise our creator beingness as source incarnate, as a fractal of source that we truly are. Reach out and pull all that is into your heart center. Just use your hands and pull all that is, all of creation, lower timelines, higher timelines. Just let it all be one in the same, the oneness, everything the Creator has manifested, just pulling it all into your heart center, into the source spark, because that is where we create, that is where we connect to pure source consciousness. Pull everything into that golden, crystalline, diamond, radiant heart center, the pure spark of source in the center of your beingness, within the solar heart. And let us just breathe here for a moment, taking all of this in. Experience the stillness, the silence, the experience of creator beingness. And take a moment and feel all of your brothers and sisters, all of the unified heart grid, the crystalline heart grid, which has already manifested pure unity consciousness. Source has already created that, and you can access it through your heart center right now. Feel all that was, all that is, all that will be. No attachment, no judgment. Taking all of creation into your heart, and we just hold it here. Feeling all of your creation in this planetary experience. Feel all that you have been in your life stream, all of our journeys here. Feel the collective. Celebrate it, all of creation, the galactic expression, the universal history, everything that has been experienced here on Gaia. Now take every particle of Gaia into your heart, all the timelines, all of the different realms and the densities and all of the creations and all of the creations of the ways in which we tried to understand it with the mind. And now we take it into the heart. taking the entire experience of galaxy, universe, humanity, the beloved kingdoms, the elementals, your personal journey, and hold it here in the divine light frequency of pure source consciousness. Witness it. Observe it. No longer embodying any kind of polarization, judgment, attachment, duality. Performing the divine act of pure forgiveness. Forgive all of it, personal, planetary, galactic, history, all of it. Forgive and dissolve it in this now moment. In the light of divine neutrality, feel all of your brothers and sisters consistently doing this. Feel the higher selves stepping into, merging with, embodying Christed level of humanity, the universal level of humanity. It was what it was. It is what it is. It will be what it will be. Be here now. Purify it. Divinitize it. And now we breathe in this divine love, sitting in the seat of pure creator beingness, being, the presence of creator, being, source. Purifying and divinitizing this through the golden, crystalline, diamond, platinum rays of pure light consciousness. Take a pure breath, inhaling, and exhaling the brand new creation of the new universe, the new galaxy, the new earth, all of this. Exhale, the new creation, serving as source. Inhale again, into the purity, divinity, exhaling the new creation across all timelines, across all of your expressions, through all of your creations, supporting your brothers and sisters as co-creators. Exhale. Command and decree, I am divine love. I am divine light. I am divine will. I am divine humanity. I am all that I am. Feel the presence of pure presence. Presence of the illusion that we are individual, the illusion of all of these beautiful creations around us, all these beautiful creative experiences. Honor it in this now moment. Gratitude, joy, celebration. It's all beautiful. Now take a deep breath. Exhale as creator. Thank you. So be it.
So be it. And that is such a beautiful place. And this is what we stay focused on here in the now and in every now moment. Sandra Walter, what a beautiful place you sent us off into. And as we all go on with the rest of our day out into our personal worlds, remember this connection and come back to it again. A beautiful place to end our call today. Very quickly, I want to make a mention about your special offer with your Ascension course. This is for those who have not taken this yet. This is a fantastic course, a very beautiful course, professionally produced. Sandra, it's such a high vibe, and it really shows us some important things that we can do to always fully stay present with this. Would you like to add some information about this special offer?
Well, it's an opportunity to participate in the ascension process in maybe a new way for some people, maybe reminders as we go through this. There's a bit of a non-identity crisis as we embrace these new templates of self. It's kind of a conundrum for many. The egoic identity is released, and we're surrendering to the unique higher functions of the higher self and source. And sometimes you just need the reminders or that vibration to tap into. And some people nurturing themselves away from so much time on the computer, searching. This is, we have found what we have been searching for, and discovering that there's actually much more available beyond that. But if you need it, it's there. If it's something that, and I'm finding, as people awaken, the conversation, that conversation is there for a reason. There's several things that we plant along these timelines for people to find later, and when they're in the right vibration, or they need whatever it is that you offer, that's why we follow the inspiration for creativity. The inspiration for creation is actually the response to a request sometimes. Not always, but sometimes it's the response to someone looking for what it is that you're going to create. And it's just a reflection again. Let's always go to the reflection of the higher levels of source, asking the question and resolving it. What am I about? Who am I? Well, let me know more of myself, and send out these universal creations that explore all these different dynamics. And it's the same, in density, the same thing. We create things that people will request at some point in the timeline. It's a timeless interdimensional dynamic when you create, but it's it's Prime Creator stepping in, saying, look, a lot of people are going to want to embrace self-empowerment eventually. So we're providing these materials as a way, one of a myriad of ways to try to make it easier for people. Self-empowerment, you're like, oh, I have to do it all myself. No, you don't. This is a collective consciousness. Yes, you have to practice and meditate and do those things on your own and figure out your unique expression, but there's so many tools. It's practically saturated at this point of all of this information and ways to get there, which is another side effect of this complexity and all of this information and everything. It's like it's source talking to itself, it's like resolving all of this thing, like, how do I do it? And then it presents, how do I do it? And it's been, thousands of years if it's presenting different ways of how you get there. And this is just what serves in this particular moment, in this particular split that we're going through right now, of attempting to experience ascension. And it's working. That's the cool thing is it's working.
Yeah.
We're having that experience. Which even being told that you're an ascension guide or whatever years ago, like, oh my gosh, I wasn't part of that conversation. So you get thrown into it, and now you see, oh wow, like everything that we are collectively creating is coming to fruition in a very heightened, accelerated way. So this is beautiful, that we've actually exhausted the possibilities of the lower timeline so much that they have been removed, and now we're moving into these higher and higher possibilities. And it doesn't have to be this, this long, 10 years in Tibet or whatever. It can be just you exploring all that you are in many different ways. And Ascension Path is just one of those many different ways.
Well, so beautiful. Thank you for that. Your special offer is available on the special offer button on this webpage, and it also includes the recent recording of that Unity meditation. Again, it was extremely powerful and so rewarding with me. It is still hanging with me. I know everyone listening is all for self-empowerment and creating new earth with the new templates of self. And so thank you, Sandra, for being able to express this and show it and truly live it. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.